Today, we're diving into North America's river systems. Now, you might not think about them every day, but they are literally the continent's circulatory system. This huge, unseen network of waterways that carved our landscapes, powers our cities, and really wrote our history. So let me ask you a question to get us started. What do you think is the single most important dividing line in all of North America? I'm not talking about a border between countries or a state line. No, it's something much, much more fundamental, a line drawn by nature itself. The answer? It's the Continental Divide. You can think of it as a massive ridge running along the spine of the Rocky Mountains. It's basically the continent's master switch. If a drop of rain falls on the west side of this line, it's headed for the Pacific Ocean. But if it falls just a few inches to the east, it begins a very long journey all the way to the Atlantic. And that one line, that divide, it creates two completely different water worlds. So, for our journey today, let's start by heading east. Here in the east, we're talking about the Great Eastern Flow. These aren't just rivers, these are absolute giants of commerce and history. And you have to start with the biggest of them all, the Mississippi-Missouri-Jefferson River System. We're talking about a waterway that stretches for over 3,700 miles. It is a true continental giant, draining parts of 32 different U.S. states. Just think about that scale. You know, this system, it really has two very different faces. On one hand, you have the Missouri River. Its nickname is the Big Muddy for a reason. It hauls an incredible amount of sediment down from the Rockies, and it was the main artery for America's westward expansion. And then you've got the Mississippi itself, the legendary commercial superhighway that literally draws the borders for 10 different states. But here's the thing. There's a third, crucial player in this system that's often overlooked, the Ohio River. And its contribution is absolutely immense. You'd probably guess that the super long Missouri River is the Mississippi's most important partner, right? Well, the actual numbers tell a very different and pretty surprising story. And here it is. Look at that. The Ohio River provides nearly half of all the water flowing through the lower Mississippi. That is more than 3 times the amount the Missouri brings in. It's an incredible stat that just goes to show you how vital the Ohio River really is to the whole system. Now, if we head a bit further northeast, we find another critical artery, the St. Lawrence River. This is so much more than just a river. It's an international seaway. It's the gateway that connects the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Great Lakes, allowing these massive ocean-going ships to sail deep, deep into the industrial heart of the continent. Okay, let's head back to that dividing line and cross over to the other side. Welcome to the West, where the rivers aren't so much defined by commerce, but by raw, untamed power. And nothing captures the drama of the West like the story of the Colorado River. It's born high in the Rocky Mountains, and its incredible force is what carved one of the wonders of the world, the Grand Canyon. But today, the Colorado is one of the most controlled, most engineered rivers on the entire planet. It's been dammed and diverted over and over again for water and power. In fact, its flow is now so managed that it often just dries up before it can even reach the sea. Travel a bit north, and you'll find the Columbia River, the absolute giant of the Pacific Northwest. By sheer volume of water, it's the biggest in the region. And all that power, fed by major tributaries like the Snake River, has been harnessed by a whole series of massive dams to generate a huge amount of the continent's hydroelectricity. All right, for the next leg of our journey, we're heading way up north to the Arctic frontier. This is a land of vast, remote, and often frozen rivers that exist on a scale that's hard to even imagine. And just to give you some perspective on that scale, get this. Canada's Mackenzie River is actually longer than the main stem of the Mississippi. The famous Yukon isn't that far behind either. These aren't just big rivers. They are true giants of the Arctic. The Mackenzie is Canada's longest river system, but its most defining feature is probably ice. For much of the year, it's frozen solid, and its epic journey doesn't end in a warm gulf, but in the frigid, cold waters of the Arctic Ocean, which creates a totally unique and incredibly harsh ecosystem. And then there's the Yukon, a river rich with history that flows through both Canada and Alaska. For centuries, it was a lifeline for indigenous peoples. Then, during the Klondike gold rush, it became a liquid highway, a vital route packed with thousands of prospectors, all chasing a fortune in the wilderness. So, as we bring our journey to a close, it becomes really clear. From east to west, from the deep south to the far north, all these waterways, they form a shared and completely indispensable lifeline. And this network is just incredibly diverse in what it does. You have rivers that define our international borders, like the Rio Grande, others that served as historic arteries of commerce, like New York's Hudson River. Some provide drinking water for millions, like the Delaware, and others irrigate our vast farmlands, like the Arkansas. Each one has a unique and critical job to do. See, thinking about any of these rivers in isolation really misses the bigger picture, because together they form that continental circulatory system we talked about at the start, a network that delivers life, power, and commerce to every single corner of North America. When you get right down to it, they connect us all. This incredible living network undeniably shaped our past and built the world we live in today. Which leaves us with one final and very important question. How are we going to protect their future?